All right, hello everybody, and welcome to Sake Revolution. This is America's first sake podcast. On the show, we've got two hosts. I'm one of them. My name is John Puma. I also am the guy over at the Sake Notes. Also, I am the guy who started the Internet Sake Discord. And thirdly, I am the lead mod over at Reddit's r/sake community.
And I'm your host, Timothy Sullivan. I'm a sake samurai. I'm the Director of Education at the Sake Studies Center, and I'm the founder of the Urban Sake website. And we are so excited to be here with you regularly, talking about sake and doing our best to make it fun and easy to understand. Hey, John, how you doing?
It's another day. It's a beautiful day in sake land.
It sure is. And this is our second video podcast.
It is our second video podcast, and I promise that it will have fewer problems than the first. That's my 2 cents. It's my promise to myself.
I'm looking on the bright side. I think we did great, and it's going to get better and better. So I am full of optimism here, and I'm super excited for today's topics. We are going to something that was my resolution last year, which is back to basics. So we are going to talk about something that is back to basics that I'm super excited.
Yeah.
And I'm happy to say this was your idea to bring this back to the table.
Yeah. I feel like we've got some like myths that we need to bust, myths that we need to slay. And one of those myths is that like Honjozo is somehow inferior sake and not as good or as pure as Junmai or other sakes of that ilk. And I just want to say that I'm personally offended by that comment. And it's something I've been like kind of brewing, no pun, in the back of my head for a while. And then recently I was at a tasting event and I had a conversation with a brewer and led me through his vertical, and I felt that his Honjozo was like my favorite thing at the table. And Tim, I will tell you, this man poured me an omachi, and I still thought the Honjozo was the best thing at the table. And so after we were chatting about it, I was like, the Honjozo really is like incredible. And I told him, like, I think that Honjozo gets a bit of a bad rap in the U.S. and people don't appreciate it as much as they should. And his response was, it is same in Japan.
Heavy sigh.
Yeah, heavy sigh. And he also, he really liked his Honjozo as well, which I think he probably likes all of his sake. And, but yeah, and I was like, that it's something I already wanted to do. And then it just doubled down my like, no, it has to happen. We need to clear the air on Honjozo and get people to appreciate it for the wonderful sake that it is.
I am like shocked that John Puma is a Honjozo evangelist. Like this was not on my bingo card.
Captain Ginjo himself. But, I think that you're not wrong. That is a little surprising. But at the same time, I think that I'm an equal opportunity sake enthusiast, even though I have my personal preferences. Nobody's talking mess about Ginjo. Ginjo doesn't need a hero. Everybody's Ginjo's hero.
All right. So let's define Honjozo to get started. So Honjozo, first of all, is one of the types of sake that has distilled alcohol added. So it's some might say fortified or distilled alcohol added sake. So that's the first part of the definition. And the second part of the definition for Honjozo is that the rice used to brew the sake must be milled down to 70% or less of the grain remaining. So to get into the Honjozo category, the rice has to be milled to a minimum of 70% or less remaining. So those are the two aspects of Honjozo that really define what it is. And, Honjozo is the entry level to premium. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about the premium grades, and you're talking about the alcohol added style, you really start at Honjozo. So you talked about it being looked down upon, maybe not respected as much, and that's because it's at the entry level to what is considered premium.
People don't look down on Junmai, and that's the other entry level premium sake.
Yeah. So, in the US, another point that I think is really important is that alcohol added sakes and the Junmai pure rice sakes, they get taxed in a different category. So Honjozo, Ginjo, and Daiginjo, the alcohol added styles, get taxed at a higher rate because they have distilled alcohol added to them. So we have fewer of them in the States. So for the listeners who are in the US and are interested in buying a Honjozo, the selection versus Junmai is actually a lot less. Have you noticed that, like shopping around?
Yes, it is. It's kind of rare in the U.S. and then also like on the brewing side of things for North American breweries, it's like very tricky to get done. So yeah, it gets a little weird.
Yeah, and since we're going back to basics for this episode, talking about what Honjozo is, we know it's alcohol added. We know the rice is milled to 70% or less. But kind of what can you expect from the taste or the flavor of sake that's called a Honjozo style? Do you have any kind of taste notes that you go back to for Honjozo in general?
I mean, I think that they're generally like, I think body wise, I think I get a little bit more, a little more thickness, a little heavier body out of a Honjozo as opposed to a very similar Junmai, a similarly specced Junmai. That's like what I usually think of. It's just kind of, it coats the palate a little bit more, coats the mouth a little bit more. Not like, we're not talking like the way a nigori coats your mouth. We're talking about how just like a thicker wine kind of does that too. And that's kind of where my head goes. And it's not always going to be the case, but it is just like what my initial impression often is. What about you, Tim? What do you usually think of?
Well, I want to mention what you said was so important because you talked about the texture first. And I think that when you add distilled alcohol to sake and you make a Honjozo or a Ginjo or a Daiginjo, it really does affect the texture. And I've found that sake's Honjozos tend to have a rounder texture, more mouth coating, like it coats the palate more. It's a little grippy and more rich on the palate. And I think that comes from that added ingredient of just distilled alcohol.
I like that grippy as a descriptor. I'm going to steal that in the future.
Yes, you can steal my grippy, and I
Ooh.
raise you a rich texture. No, I'm just kidding.
I thought I said thick to add, whatever. Anyway, so I just, the words just come out, Tim. It doesn't always come out the way we want them to.
That's right.
Yes.
Yeah. So I also think that the added alcohol does bring that texture, but it also is, because it's the entry level to premium, you tend to get more full-bodied textures as well. So there are richer bodies, more full-bodied type of tastes, and it can be a little weightier. So that lines up really well for pairing with a lot of heavier, like deep fried foods in particular. Like if you go to an izakaya and you have some deep fried foods or okonomiyaki or something rich and heavy, Honjozo is a great choice for that because it has the weight to stand up to it.
Yes. And I'm pretty sure I talked about this on the show in the past, but one of my favorite tonkatsu ramen pairings is the Hakkaisan Honjozo. Tonkatsu ramen is very, very thick and it's very flavorful and it's very creamy. And I think that the Hakkaisan kind of cuts through all of that and lets you like get ready to reset for another mouthful of noodles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just wrote an essay. It is June of 2026. I just wrote an essay for the this month's issue of the True Sake newsletter. So Bo Timken at True Sake, he does a newsletter every month. He's been doing it for like over 200 weeks. Over 200 months he's been doing this newsletter. And he asked me to write an article about the Hakkaisan Tokubetsu Honjozo. And so if you want to go to True Sake and check that out, I wrote about some of my experiences working at Hakai-san and some of the employees' reactions to that. So that is one of the quintessential Honjozos that's out there on the market.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
we're actually not going to be tasting
It's like,
that
but are we going to
today.
taste that today? No.
No.
That would have been too easy. That would have been way too
Yes.
easy. But what we are going to be tasting is probably my favorite Honjozo. So I'm excited.
Absolutely.
So do you want me to just get into that, or do you want to talk a little bit more
Yeah.
about?
No, I think we covered about what to expect from the flavor.
Great.
We talked about some pairing ideas. Let's talk about the Honjozo that you picked to taste today, and let us know the name of the sake and give us the stats for that one.
All right. So today's sake, drum roll, is Atago no Matsu Tokubetsu Honjozo. This is, to my knowledge, the only time I have personally experienced the term Tokubetsu Honjozo. And Tokubetsu, if you are familiar with your Junmais, basically means special. And it usually means they did something a little bit interesting or different with the sake. We'll get into what that is in this case in a moment. But this sake comes from Niizawa Jozo, which is over in Miyagi Prefecture in Tohoku. And you may, if you're like, man, Niizawa, that sounds really familiar, but I don't know this Atago no Matsu name. Why do I know this brewery? You know this brewery because they're also the people who make Hakurakse, a renowned food-friendly, they say the ultimate food sake. That is why you know that brewery. So in this case, like what makes this sake special is, and we're going to get into the stats in a minute, and the stats are where we're going to find some of that specialness, and that is that they are using Grade A Yamadanishiki from Hyogo, milled down to 60%. They're doing it. They're making a Honjozo, but they're pulling out the big gun rice. They're going to Hyogo. They're getting some of that Grade A king of sake rice, and they're making a Honjozo out of it. And that makes it very special. The sake meter value, that measure of your dryness to your sweetness, is +7. So I'd say this is notably dry, or it's going to be notably dry. Acidity is 1.6, and your alcohol by volume is 15 1/2. So, very, very good stuff. And if I'm not mistaken, this is also not charcoal filtered.
Yeah, so you're right. So Niizawa Jozo has two brands. It has several brands, but it has two really prominent brands.
For purposes of this conversation, they have two brands.
Yeah. So Atago no Matsu is the principal brand that kind of dates back to the founding of the brewery. And it refers to a pine at the foot, or a pine tree that has roots in Mount Atago. So there's a mountain near the brewery, Mount Atago. And Matsu means pine or pine tree. So it's like a pine that's rooting in their local mountain.
Nice.
And this is their classic old school brand that's been around forever. And the brewery was founded in 1873. And the second brand is Hakurakuse, as you said before. And this one was introduced in 2002. This is their more modern brand. Yes. And as you said, they do very much promote the catchphrase that their sake is the ultimate food sake. So when we taste this, we're going to look out for that. Would this pair well with food? It's something that they hold really closely to their hearts, as when they promote their brand, the ultimate food sake.
Excellent. And I have to take a moment here and talk about the label here. And since we're on a video podcast, I can show you the label, because this has one of the wildest labels I think I've ever seen on a sake bottle. It's just got stickers everywhere. So here we are. This is the Atago no Matsu bottle label, and you see we've got this big kind of like old school, I'd say it's a very old school primary label here, and then We've got we've got a sticker here. We've got a neck sticker there, and then we've got a sash that goes across the entire thing, and then another one up here higher on the neck. They put all the stickers on this bottle, and one of them is explaining that it was pasteurized once. Another one is giving you the recommended serving temperature. The neck one is just kind of telling you the brand again. You usually see neck labels like this on like really big bottles of sake, like the Ishobin. You don't really see them on the tiny guys very much. And then, you've got your big, like, this is what this is, sash sticker. So you can't miss this one. If you see this in a liquor store, you found the Atago no Matsu Tokubetsu Honjozo. That's it. The Tokubetsu stands for the number of stickers. It's very special.
Now, what does Tokubetsu really stand for? Well, I'll tell you real quick. So Tokubetsu does mean special. And in the case of this sake, when you polish your rice to ginjo quality, that's the grade that is more premium than Honjozo. So if you polish your rice into ginjo territory, and this just makes it at 60%, you have the option as a producer to label your sake as a Tokubetsu or special Honjozo when you've milled to technically the more premium category. So they've chosen to sell this in Honjozo, but alert consumers, alert us that the milling is more premium by calling it Tokubetsu. So that's really where the specialness comes in. Although it is very special to have all these stickers too.
It's also very special to have like Toku A Yamada from Hyogo in your Honjozo. I think that's very nice. So let's open this up.
All right. So this is a lot of stickers here, as you said, but it is very old school as well, wouldn't you say?
It's very Showa era. In the main front sticker is very very old school. Harken back to the days of yore. All right.
Okay, I've got my sake poured.
I haven't tasted this in a while. I'm very excited. I've got mine as well. But so, Tim, I think you might have poured a little bit heavier than I did. Congratulations.
That would not be the first time that's happened.
No, but I think usually I take the lead. But I this reflects his excitement, I think.
Yes. So, looking at the sake in the glass, we have a not totally crystal diamond clear in that there's a hint of color here. And I think you mentioned that this is a Muroka sake, not charcoal filtered. And that little tinge of straw color can come from that. So this may be the Muroka showing, that little tinge of straw color. Do you see that as well in your glass?
I do.
Yeah.
So my trick that I always do here, which I can't really show you guys, even though we are on video, is I bring up a pure white image on my screen. Usually it's an empty notepad, and I'll hold the glass up in front of my screen, and it'll tell me exactly how clear the sake is or isn't. And yeah, this is just a touch yellowed.
All right.
How about that aroma, though, Tim?
I mean, to me, it smells very ricey and almost a little nutty. Are you getting anything kind of like nutty?
Very lightly.
Peanutty. It smells like ricey rice, steamed rice, but also like peanut shells a little for me, like a little nutty smell. Very nice.
I see where you're going with that, but for me, I'm getting kind of like, it's like definitely the rice, definitely that sweet rice, but I'm getting a tiny hint of fruit, and not like pineapples or not the ginjo so much, but more of like a berry kind of thing. It's very faint.
Yeah. I mean, the aroma overall is pretty restrained, wouldn't you say? Like it's not super earthy. There's not much umami coming through. It's like pretty restrained and quiet.
Yeah. And I think that from your sake meter value +7, I think sometimes that you get a little more subdued on the aroma from the really dry stuff. Not always. Sometimes. Very nice, though.
All right, are we ready to taste?
I'm ready to taste.
All right. Cheers. Mmm. That's really good.
It's great. It's a really, really tasty sake. And don't let that +7 fool you. This is not, to me, it's not coming off as overwhelmingly dry, but it's dry. But it's not a dominant dryness.
Yeah. It has this texture to it that to me is super Honjozo-esque. It is like I want to say creamy. Like I don't want you to think nigori or anything, but it's got this creamy texture to it.
Yeah.
It rolls across the palate. It's got a richness and a chewiness, and that comes from the added alcohol, I think. The rice really comes forward on the palate, and it has a very elegant earthiness to it.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly. There is in the very finish, there can be, after you've had a few sips, at least in my experience, there is a little heat that builds up, a little bit of that alcohol heat. But by and large, if you're sipping and pacing yourself, it actually presents very elegantly.
I actually don't get too much heat. I think it's got really good balance, and again, I'm getting the aftertaste for me. My interpretation, my impression is that it has something a little nutty. So it's like if you think about, brown rice can have that kind of nutty taste to it.
Yes,
it's kind of like that. It's this little ricey nuttiness that I'm picking up on, and it's really so fantastic because it has just this very subtle earthiness. When you say earthy, you think like kaboom, like punch you in the face. But this is this is like very subtle and gentle, balanced. We always come back to that, don't we? Like the balance is so important.
Yeah, I think that like you can have so many different styles and so many different flavors, but when something's out of balance, it's kind of like the whole thing just feels off. But yeah, this is really, really tasty. And, obviously I think this is a sake that's going to go great with a meal, but I also think that this is incredibly sippable. You can just drink this and relax, kick back. This is a wonderful John Puma on the couch sake. And John Puma has experience on the couch with this sake.
I'm a little surprised. I think you're more like the tropical fruity ginjo style, but
I mean,
this is
I am, but
different.
this is fine. Tim, you're not wrong. I absolutely am that kind of guy, guilty as charged. But I also really enjoy this and would love to sip it on the couch.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's very drinkable. Now, do you think it's the ultimate food sake? What would you pair with this?
By the way, for the record, I think that was the Hakurakse. That's the ultimate food sake.
Well, I think they apply it to their brewery
To the whole
in
thing,
general.
all right.
Yeah.
So they get this one gets grandfathered in because it's like
Absolutely.
the original brand.
Yes.
So I'm going to say I want something a little bit oily.
Okay.
I think I might want like a shrimp scampi with this, maybe.
Oh, shrimp. All right.
Yeah, like shrimp with pasta and a little bit of, just a little garlic and oil and stuff like that with it, and some, or maybe pesto would be nice with this too. What about you? What are you thinking?
Oh, well, I think there's a very subtle restrained umami here, savoriness, and I think that anything that has that little hint of umami, like any dishes, like a brown rice bowl with salmon or something like that. Yeah, like that nuttiness from brown rice, I think would work really well with this.
Salmon will get along famously here. I think that was a good call.
Yeah. I also think anything with like a dashi or a soy sauce broth is going to be really good with this. And you could even get into like pork chops or any other white meat is going to be great with this, I think, because it has just enough savoriness to be really good with those gentle umami types of meats and sauces that are really great. And the other thing I'm really craving now that I think about it is like tonkatsu, fried pork cutlet with the tonkatsu sauce. Oh my God. That's like my favorite thing in the world.
Really?
I always get that when I go to Japan.
I had no
Like
idea
the-
you had
Oh,
a tonkatsu thing.
John, I'm so happy after 5 years. We're still learning things about each other. I love
Of course.
that. Yes.
It's true.
I'm glad I can still surprise you after all these years.
Yes.
No, do you like tonkatsu as well? It's like one of my favorite things.
I do like it. I don't like it as much as you do.
Okay.
I'm not usually wild about the tonkatsu sauce as much, but if you give me
Shocker.
some, it's a little surprising. But if you give me tonkatsu with some curry, perhaps with Japanese curry, it's it's like the pairing. You have your curry rice with your pork cutlet on top of it. Oh my God, that's really good.
Yeah, that's so good. And that would pair great with this sake as well, too. Like curry tonkatsu would be amazing with this. I think we may have come to the conclusion that this is the ultimate food sake.
Perhaps. Although my hankering for shrimp has not gone away. Just for the record,
Okay.
I can still go for the shrimp dish of my people. So yeah, that was a lot of fun. That was really good. It's tasty sake.
Yeah.
And I hope that some listeners are going to be like, oh, wait a minute, Honjozo. I'm sorry, did I say listeners? Viewers. Some viewers might be like, wait a minute, Honjozo. Maybe I need to try some of that. Maybe it's not as bad as I've heard. And I do think that part of the Honjozo stigma comes from, like, in recent years there was this thing about just like pure rice and like Junmai being a more true representation of sake. And I think that's just big Junmai getting out there, and I think to a certain extent it's gotten some traction. And I think that poor Honjozo and then the Aru-10 sakes have been left in the dust by it.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, there's just fewer of them here in the States. So they have an uphill battle. But I think
Yeah.
it's good that we're highlighting them. And this is a great example to get started with.
Yeah. I do wonder, like, what percentage of sake that comes to the United States is actually Aru-10? And then how much, because I did some research on the Japanese side of things, and it seems like it's like 40 or 50% Aru-10 in Japan. That's not counting, that's only for premium sake. So if you were to count Futsushu, you'd get to like 70%, I think, or 80%. It gets really high up there. But if you don't include that category, it scales back to like 40, 50. That's my little bit of knowledge for the week. Now, Tim, before we go anywhere, I have to ask you something, because I haven't asked you this in a very long time.
Mm-hmm.
Niizawa,
Yes.
have you been there?
John,
You have this
Not only-
twinkle in your eye.
not only have I been there, but I've actually worked there.
Wait a second. How about that, Tim? All these years later, we're still learning things about each other.
Yes, it's true. Yeah.
Wait, when?
So this is back in 2011. There was a big earthquake in Japan, the Great East
know.
Japan earthquake. And I heard about a volunteer group from England that was going to Japan to visit and support a bunch of breweries in the affected areas. And I contacted them and asked them if I could go with them. And also Brian from Sipped Importers was also there. So it was two American old guys, me and Brian. and then a group of college people from England, and probably a group of like 20 people. We all went over and we visited several places. And one place we stayed for 3 or 4 days and worked was Niizawa Jozo. And it was interesting because it was a very transitional period for them. A few things happened. They were in a town in Miyagi called Osaki City, and they had 3 brewery buildings there, and they were all really, really damaged. And I'll tell you an interesting story. There were aftershocks at the time that we were there, and there was an alarm system that the brewery had put up, and if there was any movement in the walls, this alarm would go off and we all had to run outside. And it happened like 3 or 4 times while we were there. We also, at the end of our stay, we got to visit the new town, Kawasaki town, which is about 70 kilometers away from Osaki, where they started the brewery. So we got to see the new brewery, which they had taken over from a brewery that closed.
Oh.
And they took over a facility and they renovated it and started brewing there. And it was an amazing experience to be there for this transitional period. Unfortunately, the father of the current president had also passed away just around this time as well. So the 5th generation president, Iwao Niizawa, was also taking on the role of president during this very difficult time of change and challenge for this brewery. So I was very lucky for a few days to have a front row seat and be a witness to this tremendous change that was happening. Now, they went on that was 2011, and then in 2018, Niizawa-san retired as Toji and became just the brewery president, the Kuramoto.
Right.
And
this would be when Watanabe-san came in.
That's right.
Aha.
So they hired a female Toji, master brewer, and at the time in 2018 she was 22 years old. So she was by far the youngest female Toji working in Japan at that time. And they also in 2018 they released Absolute Zero, which is a world famous sake. Do you want to talk about Absolute Zero?
Yeah, Absolute Zero is a very, very famous sake, as you point out. It's also very expensive. Absolute Zero is not the cost. Absolute Zero is what's left with your wallet after you've purchased it. As a quick little aside, 2 months ago, I went over to Japan for Craft Sake Week, and Niizawa was there one of the nights that I was in attendance, and Absolute Zero was one of their sakes that they were pouring. And whenever somebody ordered a cup of the Absolute Zero, they had a bell that they would start ringing and making a very big deal out of it, because it was a very premium and very expensive product. And the reason it is very premium and very expensive is because the rice polishing level is...
It's below 1%.
It's below 1%. So you're rounding down, it might be 0. Yes. It's dust.
Yeah, it's actually, I read it's 0.85% remaining. So the rice grains are polished to below 1% remaining. Rounding down, they call it Absolute Zero. But I went to a restaurant in Manhattan for a very nice celebratory sushi dinner. They had Absolute Zero on the menu. And in Manhattan, in the year of our Lord, 2026, that bottle, 500 milliliters, cost $10,000 US.
And so you ordered it. How was it?
I did not order it, John Puma.
How well?
But I
have had it.
Caught my attention. I've tasted it at Joy of Sake too. They had it for a couple years.
I've tasted it at Craft Sake Week, because somebody that I knew ordered it and gave me a sip.
You lucky duck.
Yeah. It was a good time, that event.
Yeah, for sure. So, in any case, Niizawa has gone on to win all kinds of awards since 2018. So, they're switched to a young, vibrant female Toji, and the new direction that the fifth generation president has taken them in has been great. But they're staying true to their roots, right? With Atago no Matsu. Like, they're not
Yes, the
abandoning
roots.
their, yeah. They're not abandoning their old school roots of Honjozo. So I have a lot of respect for that.
Me too. And I think that their sake is absolutely fantastic. Like, very
Yeah.
good stuff. And I do think that everything they make goes really well with food, but I also really feel that it does double duty as being something that's like always really sippable and just enjoyable. They do this great job of covering both with all of their products, and that really surprises me because it's not easy to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, John, this was great. I had so much fun going back to basics with you and talking to our listeners and viewers about Honjozo, which we now have a renewed appreciation for, right?
Yeah. And I really enjoyed getting to right the wrongs of the sake world and talk about how Honjozo is wonderful and people need to appreciate it a little bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, John, it was so great to taste with you. Fantastic to be back here in living color, as I like to say now.
Oh, goodness.
And I want to take a moment to thank all of our listeners and viewers for tuning in. A special hello and thank you to our Patreon supporters. Now, if you would like to support Sake Revolution as we venture into this new world of video podcasting, please feel free to join our community on Patreon. If you'd like to learn more, visit patreon.com/sakerevolution.
And if you have questions, comments, anything that you want to tell us about our transition to video, your appreciation for Honjozo, or anything in between, drop us a line over at feedback@sakerevolution.com. That's an email address, by the way. So we're doing essays. We got email addresses. We're doing it old school. We've got Atago no Matsu. We're kicking it old school. Anyway, so yeah, please do send us over your thoughts, and we love to read them. And we always get back to people who write into us. We really appreciate it when you do. So Tim, on that note, do you have do you still have sake in your glass?
I do.
Oh, well, hold on a second, because I don't. All right, there we go. So, everybody at home, please raise your glass. Remember to keep drinking sake. And kanpai.
Kanpai.